This meeting is being oh.
Bueno, acá estamos nuevamente con nuestro segundo conversatorio de esta última jornada del Festival Escalatrónica y estamos junto con una de estas personas que nos han ayudado mucho. En el 2019 hemos trabajado en conjunto, es la gente de PES, Public Eye Soar, un festival en Estados Unidos, ahí que Juli va a estar contando un poquito más. En el 2019 hemos hecho un trabajo en conjunto de proyecciones simultáneas de nuestro festival allá en Estados Unidos y viceversa. Y bueno, hoy los tenemos acá para que nos cuenten un poquito. Así que Juli, te dejo adelante.
Bueno, bienvenidos, bienvenidas a esta última conversación del festival. Estamos muy contentos, como dijo Germán, de tener a estas dos personas, J.D. Daniel y Margaret Webster, representantes, como dijo Germán, del Public Eye Soar, un festival que se da en Panama City, Florida. El festival es bastante amplio, hay una diversa cantidad de actividades, desde proyección de arte local internacional, performance en vivo, actividades interactivas, films, animación, fotografía. Quizás está entre un signo de pregunta, el pinball, la máquina de pinball más grande del mundo, arte de arena, en fin. Ellos nos van a estar contando un poco de qué se trata el festival. También vamos a estar mirando algún video que ilustre un poco los que nos van a estar contando. Así que sin más introducción, J.D. Daniel, Margaret, welcome. Thank you very much for being here. The mic is yours.
Great. Pleasure. Welcome. Buenos dias.
Buenos dias. Hello.
So I guess we're to talk about Public Eye Soar. It's our festival that we started. This will be our 10th year. This is an international projection festival, and we just started it up because we thought somebody needed to, and we had the projectors.
Right, we had the projectors, so we got to be the chosen ones.
So it started. We have a building in the downtown of our city, and we did started the festival there. The next year it was bigger. Next year it was bigger. Next year it was bigger. Then COVID happened, so we moved it to where it was a drive-through. The last 3 years we've been at our local college campus.
Right, so Gulf Coast State College is where we hold Public Eye Soar now, and it's a great partnership with our local higher education college, essentially.
Mm-hmm. So it's a very accessible campus, very safe, very pretty. In the end of COVID, it was also it's right on the water, so there's a perfect outdoor breeze. It's really, really nice, and the facility has been awesome, and it has dozens and dozens and dozens of large buildings that are perfect projection surfaces. Mm-hmm. Want to roll the tape?
Oh yeah.
We have some video of some slideshows from past years and this last year. Maybe the longer slideshow, the one you already had. Yeah. So we invite questions. If anybody has any questions for us on this, I don't know where we're broadcasting to, but I imagine all over Argentina, I imagine. Well, so we're going to roll this and talk over. Are you still able to hear us with this rolling?
We can hear you, yes.
Good. Okay. So this is we get to have things of what would we like to see, and I'd like to have a marching band. So we've invited marching bands the last 3 years. We do all kinds of performances with different artists. We invite basically artists we like, artists we respect, and say, we have a show. Would you like to come and do your thing?
Right. And the other thing too is that we're open to all forms of art. So we have both visual arts and performing arts that are part of the festival. So we have everything from dancers to musicians to we've even had people who've come on and done interpretive dance. We've had local bands that come out and play. So it's a combination of both the beautiful visuals that we put on the buildings, as you can see here, and then also we incorporate, the beauty of sound and movement and with the show as well.
Let's see. I don't know. It's early. We've had, last year we had 159 artists. About 30% of them were from outside the United States. A lot of our submitters, we seem to have a lot of draw in the Netherlands and some from Spain. But we've had 45 different countries, or what would you call it? Colonies, that isn't the right word, over the life of the show represented, from Australia to Russia to Moldova to everywhere. This is one of the things we do. We're also very kid friendly. Is that something you can remember? Yeah. Perfect. So one of the things we do is sand art. We have a sand art table with a camera shooting down that ends up showing the kids' artwork as they create it live giant on a building. We have a lot of things specifically oriented towards kids, including laser drums, which I got working yesterday. Okay. It's where we use a MIDI drum kit, and as you play it, it shoots, controls a projector with laser patterns and shoots all over the wall. So the more crazy you hit it, the more crazy the lasers become. Just add people who like to make noise.
Right. Yeah, a lot of the part of what we're also doing is we're trying to encourage creativity in our community. So over the last 10 years, we've definitely been very intentional about providing opportunities for people that come to the festival to create. Yeah. And so I think what has helped our community, I think over the last 10 years, we've been through a lot here. Everybody's kind of been through a lot between COVID, but we also had a category 5 hurricane that hit our community 5 years ago.
Yes, wiped out the city.
Right, but it was also an opportunity for people to think not only creatively about rebuilding their city, but also more creatively about how they wanted our community to look. And I like to think that what we provided them was an opportunity to kind of visualize what could happen to our community. We've been beaming art on the sides of buildings for 10 years, but just in the last 4 years, our communities decided that they want to have permanent art on their
Yes.
walls. So they've started a community mural program that, in a way, we kind of like to think we sort of planted that seed, because people could then start visualizing what it would be like to have art on the sides of buildings in our community in a large scale fashion.
Before that, the city leaders of Panama City and Panama City Beach were terrified of having murals on buildings. They associate it with crime in big cities or something. It's like, no, it's public art. And I think we've helped jumpstart that it's okay. Make it beautiful. And all of a sudden we've become a mural city in the last 3 years.
Right.
And I think beaming on art on walls sure has not helped. Sure has not hurt.
Right, exactly. So the image that you're seeing right here is a very simple thing. It's simply a shadow art box we set up, and people go in and we have, props that they can put on their heads, or they can have sword fights with, or whatever. But at the same time, it's also very creative. And that's part of what we really want to do, is we want to not only introduce people to international art and see really beautiful art on a large scale, we also want them to come and actually create art, be creative, feel free to play, essentially.
Yeah.
And so
play is a big word with us.
Yeah. So our festival is a kind of a combination of very simple concepts.
That's Margaret artwork there.
Very, very simple, interactive opportunities, and then also, more sophisticated technology opportunities too. So it's kind of an interesting mix between very simple and a little more complicated.
Yeah. So we'll play with a lot of with the interactives that we try to do. We try and figure out how can you just simply walk up and understand how to do it, because then The map I was telling you about, that is actually, I think the next shot will show. Yeah. That is the building I was telling you about. I have the mapping kit available for this. If any of your viewers or any artists in Argentina would like to join in on Public Eyesore, we will have a mapping kit available. This is the building. I think it has another one. Yeah. And you can see this is just an old sculpture that's been on the side of this building for 40 years. But we're using it mix and match. So it's fun, but we also get to I'd like to bring in this band that I'd like to hear, and everything about, that's phone ringing, sorry. So it's sort of, we got to build a show.
Right.
That's kind of where this came from. We'd like to go make a show. What would we like to see at it?
Right. And really, the very first show, we weren't sure if anybody was going to come.
No.
So our attitude has been from the beginning, we're doing it for ourselves, sort of selfishly, because we wanted to see this happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, if the community wants to come and play with us, then that's great.
Yep. One of the things that we've really enjoyed is we have several artists in our community. One is Jacob Misek. He does live drawing. This is his we give him 2 projectors. He brings his computer. He draws artwork on, say, this building. This is this is a 50-meter wide building, and he just created artwork on it live for 2 nights in a row. Animation. He has a drawing pad. You'll see in some of the other things. So yeah, there he is right there. And we love that we've have artists that we know that we trust. We just say, do your thing. What would make you happy? Go and experiment and play. And that's a huge thing with us on, if you can create, have at it. You can see in the background that, we've had quartets, we've had ballroom dancers, we've had tap dancers, we've had little kid dancers. We have 2 belly dance troupes that come and perform in the show. It's sort of all over the map. If you don't like one thing, wait 4 minutes, there will be something completely different coming up. This here is a shadow puppet area, and we have a local arts group who's created just outlines of, I'm pointing there, but you can see the animals up on the shadow puppets there. And there's a whole table full of these, and kids can make their own puppet shows live there. We've reused everything that we can anything that we can use as a surface, we do. Those are plastic pieces, and Margaret and one of our other directors, Heather, create different origami animals each year.
Just because.
And so it's been really fun, and we've gotten to meet an incredible amount of people and have a lot of fun doing this. That always looked like Dayla to me.
It's not.
It looks just like her daughter right there in a mask. So what else can we tell them about it? Our art has ranged anywhere from usually drawing, painting, digital, sometimes sculptures. Basically anything we can get into a photographic format that we can project works. This is Margaret's old car, and we use this as a live painting station with an iPad so that people could decorate the car live, and it's the wonderful thing. You can see it in 100 different ways, and you click off and it's back to normal. So that's Jacob again. What he does is he uses Resolume, he uses Heavy M and a number of different other painting programs, and just creates live animation. So what next? What else do we tell them about this?
Yeah, well, I don't even know.
What questions has this generated so far? That'll lead us off on another tangent, I'm sure.
I will ask you a question. I know that you're being clear at the beginning, but saying, not at the beginning, but some kind of, the question goes like, what motivates you to start with this? Right at the beginning. I know that you, Margaret, say something that it was like a selfish thing. You used that word. And also you spoke about stimulating the creativity also but what was the initial fire? Because it looks like 10 years ago you started with a plan, and now what we are seeing is a huge thing. So what really motivates you at the beginning?
It's a good question. Oh, that's one of my favorite shots. That's one of our main ringleaders, and Margaret and I at the opening of the second night, I believe. Yeah, how we got started with this, I think, is we've always been in creative. Our main business is video. We've done lots of animations for TV stations all over the US, as far as like graphic design for TV stations. And I also have worked a lot doing stage stuff, as in rock and roll shows and big festivals and things like that. And as projection became more commonplace with that, it started giving us ideas. Then we started acquiring projectors. Then from there, hey, we could borrow every projector from everybody we know. We could get 1,000 extension cords and we can go make a show. And we could show off artwork from all of these different artists that we know, and then some we haven't met. And then we could also have in these conversations, we could do things for kids. And we're pretty big on, once we start thinking of ideas, you got to kind of slow us down. And so that we can, where's the realistic of what we can do? And I think we're a lot better on knowing how much can we do and how much can we make happen, and actually not comprehend, that wouldn't be the right word, but actually physically pull off and actually make work without failing. And the good thing also is that we're a very, very small committee of 3. So if somebody doesn't like it, we don't do it.
Right.
And that helps eliminate, we would like to see this project or that project. And we have a huge arts community here that we're deeply involved in. And so we can call upon, like, all of these puppets you're seeing there. Hey, would anybody like to make some puppets? Next thing you know, a local arts group has made 45 puppets in a box for us. It's there's a huge number of volunteers. There's literally only 4 people on staff, and that's just for the days of show. It's an all volunteer network of an incredible amount of people around here. It's been really satisfying and fun and cool. Does that answer the question of how we got started?
Of course it did. It looks like you had a huge impact in the community. I don't know if you thought at the beginning the impact that it will have later on, right? And with this, you got all the volunteers, but the people of the community that want to get included in the project and in the festival. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it is a community festival at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gone beyond just our own selfish reasons, I guess.
Yes. The first festival I worked 36 hours straight. Now we're smart enough to bring in enough friends and helpers and people who are on board to help us where we don't have to. But I'll bet there's 45 people in the setup. I'm just guessing. I'm the guy who has my head down with the projectors and the tech. We have Margaret handles logistics and getting money and overall big picture. And then we have our other one of the board member is Heather, and she is the volunteer wrangler. And so divvying up the jobs that we have has been very useful. I don't know how many volunteers are there. I'm too busy with my own thing. So it's worked out really, really, really well. This young lady here, that's Jason's son. That's right. So what I love about, the main thing I particularly love about our show is every single year we have minimum 1 artist who's never been in an art show ever in their life. We often have way more than that. And it's an interesting way of getting your artwork out there. It's giant sized. I mean, if you make a piece of paper, an artwork on a piece of paper, and then you go and see it 45 feet tall. That's just impressive and neat, and it's really good to show your family. Well, it's also kind of anonymous. It's dark. The people in the crowd, they may not know who this person is, but it's a very anonymous way to see your artwork in a really giant size. So it's always been really neat how many people have never been in a show before, who've never presented their artwork.
Right. And
Every year. I love that.
And we're not a juried show.
Yeah.
So as long as we can show it in public, we're going to put your art out to our audience. So what that also means is that we've had artwork we had a whole classroom of 3-year-olds from preschool.
It's pretty good.
Which was pretty good, who have submitted their artwork. And then we've had someone, I know of at least one person who submitted who is like a 98-year-old fiber artist. And so she had someone take photos of her work and sent those in as well. So, it's an opportunity for the whole community to participate, whatever your age might be, whatever your artwork or your passion is. If you're creative of any sort, we probably have a space for you to be able to be creative at our show. And it doesn't matter about your age or your level of mastery of your particular choice of art. That's not really what we're about. We're really more about an opportunity for artists to express themselves.
Yeah, a giant outdoor art show that's open to all. And what we love being involved with the college is you see the singers there. We've had this is another opportunity for performers that are working with the college drama department to hone their art, to try out things that they might not try and it might not have in a regular theater format. It's we're go for it. Show us what you've been working on, what makes you happy, present that. That's what we'd like to see. How about can you run the other video? The news slideshow one I brought that has some from last year. Did your mouse go away? Okay. We're connecting lossing on the mouse. Okay, there we go.
Oh, no worries.
There we go. How's that? Are you here?
Yeah.
I see Julian. German drama. So
have you said that you want to roll another video?
Yes, if that's okay. Do you have any questions?
Sure, it is.
We have a more recent slideshow from last year. Actually, it's sort of a little bit of the very, very early days of our show, and then some from last year that I found last night that are just really pretty ones. Is that
Right.
Great. And show us the website, the open call. You can explain how to.
Yes, it's we're an open call right now. We have our website. We will put that up in a little bit, but it's www.public EYE and Soar, and that's a joke in English. I'm not sure if it translates into Spanish, but a public eyesore, when it's spelled SORE, means in English means a very ugly building that probably needs to be torn down. And so soar is fly like a bird. And so also the ugliest building in town was right next to our building. So that's sort of how the name came about. Miss Margaret came up with that, and I thought it was genius after I saw it written down and got it. So this is laser drums. This is a MIDI drum kit that actually sends laser signals out. I think the next shot will show it up there. We set this up in the street. So back to we have submissions are open until October 1, I believe.
Yep.
What we like from each individual is 8 to 15 images, and this is for still images. 8 to 15 images of the work that makes you happy, that you've created, that I can't believe, even if it's 15 years old, oh, I made this and I'm proud of myself for making this. This is our original site downtown. We have all the information is on our website. There's an extensive how-to, all the information you need, how to send us stuff. We also can take animations, short films. We like 1 to 10 minutes, but we'll consider anything. The only thing is this is a all ages show. We have 98-year-old people and we have kids who are still in a pram or a stroller. It has to be age appropriate or content appropriate, which really means no naked people and no super gore, unless it's really funny cartoon gore, in which we'll think about it. Yeah. But
those kind of rules, like, are being made by yourself? Those change through the years with your experience. How did you determine?
It's been the same since there, but really it's a matter of it's a public festival where it's free and it's open to the public, so we aren't sure who's going to show up. So we need to make it just available for anybody if they're a first grade school child. And also with the college campus that we're on, they need to stay within some guidelines too. So far, it's never been a problem. We've had maybe 15 images ever we've had to refuse. And like one was like Playboy style pinups. They were beautiful photography, but we can't show this to 5-year-olds and not have the public just go crazy. So someday we'll probably do a 18 years and older inside Soar show where we can show other things like that. But this is that kid right there. That is who we're doing this show for, probably. And I think we've only had to toss out 2 things that were gore, and it was a small subset of one artist's work. So these pictures are from last year. We take besides projectors, we also have lots of LED lights. We decorate the campus. At the end, there's some aerials on there. I don't know if there's any Ben Orr. We have one artist that he deals in neon, and we literally just invite him and say, here's a hallway, have fun. And then we go seeing what it is he's done. And it's always amazing and always surprising. And he's a very interesting guy. Let's see, demographic wise, the people that come to our show, it's sort of everybody. It's becoming it was in our downtown area, it was more, I guess I would say, more white people, more affluent. Now now that it's on the college, it's definitely very diverse. Much bigger cross section of our city. And oh yeah, okay, Doodler. That was a question. We have several drawing stations. This is one of the doodlers working. You can use in any medium you want as long as the camera can read it. And this is then projected on a wall, and you can play with people on the wall or create. We have 8 doodlers, I believe, who are going to be, they do 1-hour shifts each night, and they make whatever they want. Play with kids is the number one thing that we try to encourage. Hit us with another question.
Yeah, I have another question.
Yes.
Like at the beginning, as you said, you have the projectors and you borrow some projectors in order to make the whole installation. Then I saw, like, now, as we can see, you are having access to more complex technology, right?
Yes.
And I saw a t-shirt at the back that you have some sponsors. So how, thinking in the way of, because it looks like when like the impulse of doing it is really work with the community gets involved, it gets voluntarily, and the thing starts to grow bigger and bigger. Now, how to get funds if somebody is thinking about a dream that the one that you had? What's the strategy in order to get bigger and also get better technology? I don't know if the question is clear.
Yeah. So I can probably speak to that a little more.
She's the money lady. I'm so glad she gets it.
Okay, cool.
So when we started the festival, it was self-funded. So
Yes.
when I say it was a selfish impulse, I mean, not only was it a selfish impulse just creatively, it was also something that we believed in strongly enough that we took our own money and made it happen.
Did we get any money before the third year? I can't even remember, but
No.
our company funded it completely, which was not very expensive, but we've never taken money for the show.
Right. We've only ever given money to the show.
Yeah.
So for probably the first 5 years, the majority of the funding was actually, we funded it through our company. So because we wanted to see it happen, because we believed in what we were doing, because we were passionate about, putting together this festival for our community, and we saw the benefits to our local arts community, we saw the benefits to our local artists. It was beneficial to us just to be more creative. I think it really jump-started our creativity in a lot of ways too. After the first couple of years, we realized that this was going to be something that we realized we wanted to see it grow.
Yeah.
And the only way to make it grow was to start to get financial support from the community, as well as the volunteers and the content and, all the things that we had up until that point been funding ourselves. So at that point, I realized we needed to go out and start asking people for support. So it's interesting because a lot of our business community started to see the value of this festival themselves. And so when I went out to start talking to people about supporting it, they were ready. It was a thing where they saw the value of it. It's a unique festival. It's unlike anything. It's unlike anything.
It's weird.
It's unlike anything that really happens, I would say, anywhere else in the southern United States, really. And so you want to get out there.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit slow starting, but over the last probably 4 or 5 years, local businesses have really been interested in supporting us. And we've also gone out and been able to make partnerships with larger corporations, which has been very helpful because they also have, kind of bigger, deeper pockets to be able to support us. And we've partnered with a local arts organization that was willing to essentially be an agent for us. So if people wanted to donate to the festival, that was what we call tax deductible. So it would be something that the government would give a credit to the company for donating or supporting a nonprofit or a not-for-profit organization. We worked with an organization called Bay Arts Alliance. And what they did was essentially they would take the money in as a nonprofit, and then they would give that money to us to do the festival.
What that's translated into is not only have our personal stash of projectors, we've kept our eyes open for projectors. We've been gaining more and more and more, but with that kind of funding, we've been able to rent some of the bigger projectors. And currently what we've done the last 2 years is from Atlanta, we rent 20 5.5K projectors, 4 10Ks and 1 20K.
And that's lumens.
Lumens, yeah. And so that way we can, that has our sponsors have allowed that to happen.
Right.
Where before we have some large projectors because of the contacts we have here in the community, but we also have a lot of little bitty office projectors, and they're useful as long as you plan out where you can, as long as you protect light, you can put them anywhere and use them. But that has really helped us up the game of making this a really giant, huge festival. And in particular, probably the next shot after this simply was not possible. I think it's going to go to the library. But some of our larger projections, particularly the building that is 50 meters wide, we have a 20K projector that shoots on one side, and then we have 2 10Ks on another, and to do the other side. And that simply wouldn't be possible with what we own ourselves.
Right. So, and then we took the final step just 3 years ago in our funding journey, I guess you would call it, to actually apply for what in the United States is considered nonprofit status. So essentially that gives us the ability to give those tax breaks directly to our sponsors. So, so now we are what's considered a nonprofit, and with that status comes, opens up a lot more doors to us. So that way we can actually go to foundations and nonprofits that are in the business of giving money away, essentially. We can go to those organizations and apply for grants. And those grants then allow us to rent the projectors the larger projectors that we're using right now. So we just yesterday we were just informed yesterday that the foundation that we were hoping to give us a grant for renting the projectors that we need this year, they just decided to give us that grant yesterday. So so we're fully funded for this year. So we're really excited. Yay.
Very happy. Yes.
Yeah.
Another thing we do in besides we borrow, we've borrowed. Who has an offer the first couple of years? Who has a tiny little projector in their office? Can we borrow it for this weekend? We said that to 100 different people. That's how we did the first 4 or 5 shows. But we also work on a very shoestring budget. What you see in front of you now is actually a self-portrait. I'm in the O, Margaret is inside the R, Heather is in the A, and our representative with the college is in the S. But this looks like a really nice sculpture. I saw what you did for Escalatronica a couple of years ago, where you made the pretty wood, the wood letters.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah.
This is completely different. This is styrofoam that you use in a house, and I cut it with a jigsaw. But when you project it, it looks like $1 million. It's held up by house framing 2x4s behind it. Wherever we can, we do what we call guerrilla construction, and it's what can we make it do? We don't have to use $1 million. If we can use 3 and make it look pretty, we'll do that.
Right. And like you all probably figured out too, is in the dark with a projector, you can get away with a lot.
Yeah. Yes. This particular Soar sculpture is amazing from the front. From the back, it is so ugly I can't even begin to tell you. It's semi-dangerous behind there.
Right. But it's also lasted us for I think it's like 7 years old now.
7 years. I think we had to replace the S because somebody broke the S maybe after the show, I think. Yeah. So does that answer that kind of question? Yeah. What other questions do you have?
It did. And I have another one. This is the last one that I will make. But we spoke about the financial journey. What about this institutional journey regarding you dealing with different government? Because you said, for example, that you could apply for a nonprofit, or the festival now is going on in a university campus, right? How did you manage to get involved with the government or with the institutions in order to put the festival there, right?
Right. Yeah. So a lot of so when we first started,
it was a street festival.
It was a street festival. Yeah. So we had to interface with our local city to be able to close off the street. So we had to go through that process with them. And honestly, they didn't understand what we were doing.
No, they could not figure. We'd tell them, but you know how it is with projection. Till you see it, you don't really know what people are talking about.
It's a usual issue.
Yes, right, exactly. You can talk about it all day long, but people don't know what you're talking about until they actually see it. So we did have a couple of incidents in which our local police department wanted to shut us down because they just didn't understand what we were doing. But luckily, what we did from the very beginning is we tried to bring in key players from the government, key players from our tourist development organization to make sure that, one, they came to the festival. So one of the things we did at the very beginning is we had the mayor come to the festival and open the festival.
Yeah.
And so the mayor knew right away what we were about because he was there for at least 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then from there, we started to bring in other officials and invite them specifically to come see the show. And that was very intentional to get buy-in from the city as to what the festival is about. And please don't have the police shut us down the next time we do this. And then from there, we had an ally at Gulf Coast State College.
Yes.
Who came to the festival with his son, and they enjoyed it so much that he was like, I just want to be a volunteer. So he started off as a volunteer. And then with COVID, we did a drive around version of our festival. And during COVID and that festival time, he came to me in his truck and said, how about if we do this on the college campus? And I said, heck yeah.
Yeah.
And so from there, we have an advocate on Gulf Coast State College who is very invested in the show.
Mhm.
And so he's been very instrumental in helping with this partnership and developing this relationship between our festival and the college. So this will be the third year that we do this at Gulf Coast State College. And the first year was a lot like the first year that we did the festival. The university faculty members, the students, the administration, they had no idea what we were doing and they didn't understand what was going to happen. But there again, we had the president of the university come and open the festival with the idea that once the top understands what's going on, then hopefully that percolates down to the bottom. So this year, our third year on campus, we have more buy-in from the faculty and staff than we've ever had before.
Yes.
They are coming up with ideas themselves that they want to do during the festival. And essentially we're just facilitating that to happen. So it's becoming I'm very excited because it's becoming more and more of a partnership, a real partnership between not just the administration, but also with the staff and the students. And
Yes.
that's very exciting to us.
And what's nice about having it on the Gulf Coast campus is there's fewer people to deal with. When we're doing it in the city, you have to interface with the police for parade with a festival permit. And with the road department, we're going to close off this road from this hour to this hour. Then you also deal with the power company. We need this street light turned off because it's going to interfere with that in this street light. And so there's many different entities we're having to deal with. What's wonderful about this area is we have one big entity to deal with. We don't have to deal with the city anymore as far as permits. They have their head facility guy is a genius at, I know where to get power. I know where to turn off what light. Where, and is that okay? Oh, that's good. And so he knows where everything is at and how to turn it on or off if we need it. And they're game. They've bought in and are just really wonderful partners to deal with. We've been very lucky. Not that the city was bad. You just had to go from office to office to office and phone call to phone call and phone call. Where here we can deal with two guys. My personal favorite thing about this is our downtown area is not conducive where we were doing it. It's not conducive. It's a little dark. It's not safe for somebody who's elderly or somebody who trips and falls, where the entire campus is wheelchair accessible, which is an important thing to me, and it's very smooth. It's very walkable. If you have mobility issues, it's a wonderful thing to be able to get anywhere on campus. And our main liaison will actually drive people around in a golf cart who have a hard time getting around. And he's that kind of guy. And actually that's him right there. So it's been a really amazing, interesting partnership, and they've been awesome to us. And it's a wonderful place. I can't think of any other place around here that's better set up. Yeah, I love that shot where everything starts turning on. Hit us with some more questions.
Oh, there's a doodler.
Yeah, that was a doodler. Yeah, with the oops, I hit the thing, didn't I?
No, it goes fast.
You two are a model. I think we can make a template of public eye Soar it's so grateful to find people like you. Since I meet JD and now
Yes, sir.
Margaret, it's so grateful.
Good. This is fun. And if there's any questions, anybody that has any questions about how we're doing things or ideas or whatever, we're game. We please always hit us, but definitely the last week for submissions is coming up
Right.
for people who would like to present in public ISOR.
Okay, I have one more question. If
Sure.
you,
Of
Okay.
course, all the time you need. You lead.
how about production times? How many months?
Forever.
Forever and ever. Okay.
What happens is the main production, there's logistics as far as Margaret goes out and finds money. We all work on ideas of what are we going to do. Right now we pretty much have a basic plan. I'm doing a map that is every single site throughout the festival and what projector goes there. And then for the most part, we have our content is figured out because there's interactives. Well, this interactive is going to be that content only. So that'll be here and here. So we figure that out. Once submissions stop, I make slideshows for about a month. Then about a week or two before the festival, a week, probably less than that even.
Well, a week usually.
So what I get is I get all the slideshows together. We alphabetize them by name. Then Margaret sorts out where they're going to go on campus amongst our artist content projectors. Some of them are games or interactives or things. So those, and then places where these are going to go. We already have projectors set up. We have Mika's. Oh yeah, these are SD cards. We own all the SD cards in North America. So then we distribute those through, we put it on loop, and then I go with the team around and I make that side happen and make sure everything's projecting right, everything's working right, everything's powered, everything's in focus. And I don't know what they're doing besides making the rest of the show go on while that happens.
So yeah, so because we're not just a projection festival, I mean, that's a big heavy lift, right? So that's the main heavy lift that we do is setting up the projectors, getting that set up. The secondary heavy lift is we are creating an environment too. So we use a lot of lights to bring color to the campus. We use a lot of 3D sculptures that are created. They're animals usually. I don't know why, but
they like making origami that's giant. We have
do.
a giant rabbit that's what, 8 feet tall?
8 feet tall, yeah. And then also just adding in any sort of like I call it sparkly stuff, but we often put in like foil curtains, right? And it's really, again, very simple, very cheap to put in. We put in something called birds. Yeah, exactly. Birds.
Yeah.
We call it bird scare tape because you can buy a lot of bird scare tape for a really small amount of money, but it makes a big impact visually. So our volunteers are pretty much creating the environment that the projections are enclosed in. So a lot of those simple interactives for children, like the sand art, the sand table, and then also the shadow puppet stuff, and the shadow, we call it the shadow dome.
Yeah.
That's all done by volunteers. So they set up a lot of those sorts of things, whereas JD and his team are setting up the more technology oriented things.
Yeah, we make it, who needs power? I'm that guy. And we figure out how to get everything powered, and they come up with ideas and I go, sure, great. And then I come back during the show and I see what it is they come up with. It's always fun and always amazing and always surprising. And I love, that's actually one of my favorite parts is, so what did they come up with this year? Or what did this volunteer come up with? Or what did this artist present this year? It's always amazing.
And a lot of it, is not, it's probably in the last 4 years, a lot of what's happening is that artists are now coming to us with ideas and saying, I want to do this. And then we go, okay, is it safe? Is it family friendly? And can you do it yourself? Like whatever artist comes up with it, like go do it, because we don't have time to do it.
Yeah, we'll be the facilitator. Here's power, here's a projector, we'll make sure it's set up. All you got to do is plug in your computer, or if you're going to do some artwork, we help set the stage so they can come and do their thing.
Right, and the college is doing a lot more of those sorts of things themselves.
Yes.
So in the last video that we ran, you might have noticed some people that were all dressed in white. Well, the performing arts department at the college decided to do living statues. So the students, the students were tasked with, finding a white outfit, doing some sort of makeup with their face, and then they walked around the campus, and then they just became living statues, which worked out beautifully because in combination with the projections, essentially they became projection surfaces. So it was a wonderful collaboration between the college and the artists that were showing their work, and it just brought a different spark to it. But that's the sort of thing that's kind of happening organically. And I'm starting to sort of feel like our festival is a little bit like a fringe festival, right? Where people bring their art and do their thing, and we just facilitate that happening.
And actually, what you were doing in Sapienza when I first met you, that's actually the kind of thing that I've been trying to figure out how we could afford to pay to bring you here to do your thing like you were doing there.
Yes.
Just, we that kind of thing is exactly the kind of presentation. I have an idea for a interesting visual or an interesting performance, but literally what you were doing is the sort of thing we're trying to encourage here. Of what have you created? Is it safe for kids? Is there nobody's going to get arrested, nobody's going to catch on fire? Then we're interested, that kind of thing, to show off people's artwork and things they've created.
Right.
And we'll help you do it, and then say, go, you're up, go, kind of thing.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Julian, you have a question?
Not really. I think that we are arriving to time. We talk a lot. And I'm very surprised about everything we saw, and really very grateful about having the opportunity of knowing the back office or worries behind this kind of huge festival and the history as well. I think that it can be as a lead for someone who listens and who has this community kind of thought that it is possible, and the passion needs to be like high at all the times, but then the community is trying to focus on yourself, and it can get bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's very inspiring, your experience.
So we invite everybody watching the feed. We have another week and a half ish. October 1, I believe, is submission deadline. We would love to see your artwork. If it's still artwork, 8 to 15 images, give or take, but check our website. If it's animations, videos, short films, as long as you own the copyrights, that's the other key. And
thank you so much for this opportunity.
This is fun. This is interesting.
Thank you very much.
Vamos a traducir esta última parte para que se entienda mejor ahí y no dependamos de la traducción de YouTube. Ahí está abierta la inscripción hasta el 1 de octubre en Public Eye Soar a través del sitio. Las únicas condiciones es que tengan la posesión de los derechos de autor, ¿sí? Que sean materiales mostrables según las condiciones que nos contó Margaret y John, ¿no? Dentro del contexto de un festival donde transcurren niños y demás dentro de un campus universitario. ¿Estoy completo ahí, Juli, o me olvidé de algo?
Está perfecto. Ellos dijeron que tenían que mandar 8 a 10 imágenes, ¿no?
8 a 10 imágenes, correcto. 8 a 10 imágenes ahí que representen la obra a ser proyectada.
Muy bien. Okay, so JD and Margaret, a huge pleasure to have you here, closing this series of international conversations in Escalatronica Festival. Germán, te dejo terminar a vos, please.
Sí, cerramos estas sesiones. Vamos a estar ahí, nos quedamos con muchas ganas de hacer conversatorios con otros artistas que participaron en el festival y por una cuestión logística no pudimos organizarnos para hacerlo, así que vamos a estar haciendo unas reuniones más grandes. Ahí tenemos trabajando con Juli, con Jess y con toda la gente del Departamento de Cooperación Internacional. Y bueno, les agradecemos muchísimo toda la presencia y abiertos a preguntas que se las estaremos trasladando ahí a Margaret, a John, gustosos de contestarlas.
Thank you very much for both of us. Really.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Stay here, stay here.
Yes, you have a
Okay.
good one.
Until next.